Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about hedging language in dissertations. And I work as a developmental editor. I read and feedback a ton of dissertations in the social sciences and humanities. And I see this phenomenon pop up just too often in the writing of PhD students. So I'm here to tell you what you're doing wrong and how you can do it better. So what is hedging language? Hedging is when you're trying to sometimes soften the tone on something, or you try to sort of like cloud a strong statement in vague language. You are able to Google that term by yourself, and you're going to find that some people find hedging to be a good thing, and some people find it to be a bad thing. I'm going to give you instances where I think it's not a good thing in a dissertation because it masks your actual contribution, right? A lot of PhD students are afraid to actually speak their voice and to claim their contribution, right? Specifically, when we think about German-speaking academia, they rarely talk in the first person, right? So like, I argued that, I have researched, I have done X, Y, Z. I read those theses and I tell them, look, if you don't have the first person in there, we are never going to know whether it was you or another person, right? Research was conducted. Right? Fieldwork was carried out between, okay, but by whom, right? By you, by your research assistant? I really hope that this sort of like focus on the third person is going to go away, this focus on passive voice as well. But let's see how this turns out, even in English-speaking dissertations, right? Like even in English language dissertations, it's a huge problem. So I am going to give you a couple of examples of where you can see how that plays out and what you could do differently. For instance, you put in the name of a scholar. This person's claim that behind the idea of development politics stands blah, 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 direct quotation, can therefore be re-examined. Okay, but will it be re-examined? By whom will it be re-examined? Maybe by you, and how, right? So like, I'm not telling you that you can't write that sentence, but when you write that sentence, you need to let the reader know what you're going to do about it, right? Like, is it going to be re-examined? Is it going to be re-examined by you? And how is it going to be re-examined in this thesis? Okay, next example. Therefore, actor network analysis offers a useful tool for XYZ discipline. Okay, so is this just a general advice thread in your dissertation, or does that mean that you are going to use it as a tool? And how are you going to use it as a tool? Next example. Approaching these processes between different actors, localities, and contexts thus necessarily requires to acknowledge inherent power imbalances. Okay, so are you saying you're going to acknowledge those inherent power imbalances in your field site? Or who's going to do that? Or how are you going to do that, right? So like, people think that it's enough that when they do a literature review, that when they talk about a scholar's work, that it's enough to, after that, just slap in a sentence that says, and therefore it is necessary to investigate XYZ. Okay, but like, why don't you say, I am taking up this scholar's thought in my thesis in 3 specific ways, or in this one way, or this is how I'm applying the scholar's thought in my work. Right? Or this is how I'm adapting to it. This is how I'm refining it, right? You're allowed to build upon somebody else's work, right? You don't need to just praise other scholars and then have like a sort of like content-less sentence at the end of it that just says, well, it's a good thing, right? So you need to tell readers what you're going to do with that. And I see it a lot, specifically in literature reviews, but also in like method sections and theses where scholars, particularly PhD students, are just not able to claim their own work, claim their own voice, right? Don't remain in the passive voice. Don't write in the third person. Write in your own first person, right? Like, tell people what your contribution is, what you're going to do. Use the word I. It's completely fine. Like, that's something that actually adds clarity to your text. So if you have any questions about hedging language, or you think you're doing that in your dissertation, reach out to me and let me know.